I have some things I'd like to talk
good.
about.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about today. I don't really have anything.
Here's.
Yeah. The toaster oven's going to be running for a minute.
That's good because we're going to have some nice hot sandwiches today.
No. I'm all set up.
Yeah. He's got a vision. He's a genius at these things. Now, I'm excited because it looks like a couple of things today. One, I see that we're actually using the toaster oven, which we've been dying for hot sandwiches.
Yeah.
And today it's going to happen.
Well, I got a question for you. 3 of them are, I think, designed to be hot. One, they said, is generally served cold, but nothing wrong with it hot. So,
well, I'm curious about that.
Well, I have not gone hot with it. It's just a deli sandwich.
But is there mayonnaise on it? Because isn't that sort of the threshold if you're going to heat it or not heat it? Do you want hot mayonnaise?
I don't know. But I think the difference is they're constructed in the restaurant and we're reheating them. So, it's not precisely how it would be.
Is it a melted cheese situation where on the cold sandwich, it's cold cheese?
Yeah, but it will melt.
It'll melt the cheese.
Yeah.
I think melted cheese always better than cold cheese.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times.
Is that a hot take or is that something we all just sort of intuitively
here's what we could do.
on?
I could heat half of it.
And heat the other half?
I don't know.
And keep the other half cold.
Certain things get down to a level of interest that they're not interesting anymore.
We're just deciding if you want a hot sandwich or a cold sandwich.
Do you prefer a hot sandwich?
I really wouldn't mind a sandwich. I didn't eat anything.
Oh, it's going to be a minute.
For the first time, I realized we were going to be eating on the show.
Yeah.
And so I didn't eat lunch or breakfast knowing that I was going to eat because...
Well, then we probably should get them out quickly because if you don't feed him consistently every 2 hours, he becomes a monster.
My children are like that.
His kids are like that. My wife's like that. And I'm not like that.
You're like a camel.
No, I mean, I get hungry, but it doesn't ruin my whole day. But I know a lot of people that if they're not fed and they have no idea that they should kind of be responsible themselves for feeding themselves.
Well, here's what's worse.
So when they can avoid it. So.
That's true. But what's even worse about it is when they get into, so we're now talking to all of the people out there who get hangry and really get hangry.
Yeah.
That's
when
hungry
they
in English.
Get hangry. The problem is, they should avoid it to begin with. But when they get into that space where they are just blind rage because they're hungry, they don't think they're hungry. And you say, eat something, you'll feel better. I'm not hungry. Everything sounds disgusting. I don't feel good. They don't realize they're hungry. And so it just is self-perpetuating.
So should you always carry like an emergency Snickers in your back pocket?
Well, I know parents do.
Moms in their purse. There's always purse food.
The problem is they won't eat it. They don't believe you that they're hungry. They can't.
I'd shove it right down their mouth. You don't think you're hungry? Here you go. It's a fruit roll-up.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Give me a stick.
Yeah. Speaking of sticks, you know what I got? I got some chicken. I don't know if it's chicken jerky. I guess it is. Have you had chicken jerky?
No.
No, you know what? It was good.
Really? I feel like a jerky should be beef.
Dried out. No, but I've had, there used to be one great one from Hawaii that was really terrific. No, there's a lot of different jerkies.
I like jerky. Oh, it's good stuff.
While we're talking about food and sandwiches, I saw this the other day. Do you know why they call it a club sandwich?
Because they used to eat them at clubs?
Country clubs?
No. I don't know if this is right. This claim was chicken and lettuce under bacon. Is that possible?
Not a chance.
Really?
Sure, it's possible.
Not a chance.
Who knows?
Not a chance. There's no way that it's an acronym. That sounds like one of the things they make up after the fact. Like Arby's, a lot of people think it's like a play on roast beef, RB, and they call it Arby's. It's not.
It's America's roast beef, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's not either. That was just a commercial campaign. No, it was the Renoir brothers.
Let me ask
that started the chain.
Wait, the artists?
No, that was their last name, and so it's just RB. They just called it Arby's for the both of them.
Let me ask you this: what have you ever invented? Have you ever invented a sandwich?
Invented a sandwich?
Yes. Have you ever invented something, a dish?
I mean, I've invented a lot of things
like that you haven't seen. That you clearly have a monopoly.
I have invented a beverage that I drink every morning. I start with I start with peanut butter flavored coffee, and I put it in here.
Whoa, back up. Peanut butter flavored coffee.
Yeah, they have flavored coffee K-Cups with just about any flavor you could think of.
Okay, so it's in the bean.
So it's a starting point. Yes.
Okay.
So there's no calories in that because the flavored coffees are
You're
just
not
like
adding
extracts.
peanut butter to a cup of coffee.
Well, hold on. You haven't heard the rest of the thing.
Yes, you are.
So what I do
There's
is
more.
I started off, and it was just I would have that. I use Truvia as my
And lots
sweetener.
of it.
A lot of it. And I have monster cups of coffee. And then I use non-dairy creamer because I don't want to cool the coffee. I like it piping hot. And if you use cream, it cools the coffee.
Yeah.
So I use non-dairy creamer. And that
could
was
heat
always
the
delicious.
cream.
And then
Please.
it occurred to me, I'm like, you know what? What if I, instead of just using powdered non-dairy creamer, what if I put a big scoop of peanut butter powder, like the PB2, which is good protein, it's very low in calorie. What if I put that in? Would it make this hot beverage kind of creamier? And it did.
It worked.
And then I thought, you know what? Maybe instead of going all Truvia, maybe I do a couple of splashes of the sugar-free maple syrup that Log Cabin makes. And so now when I have my coffees, they are these smooth, creamy, hot, kind of maple peanut butter drinks that have virtually no calories, and they are delicious. I should market these. Thank you for bringing this up.
Could I get a little something?
Well, yes.
5%. How's
No, you can't get any money, but you will have my heartfelt gratitude,
How about
which, as you've shown me over the years, is apparently more valuable than money.
Used to be. I was wrong.
I look at coffee a little differently.
Black coffee.
No, I will have milk, but I don't sweeten it because with coffee, there's the original mud that people drank for centuries, right?
Yes.
And then it got a little better, and I believe now there's what they call the third wave of coffee, which is really understanding the science and the chemistry behind it, because when you like how long you extract it for, or the temperature of the water you use, a lot of things can have a dramatic impact on the flavor. So when you do it properly and use science, the flavor is actually pretty good.
So
You don't need necessarily all the sweetener that you once did. And I think it's a shame because I don't think it's fair for them to. It's like St. Louis pizza. A lot of complaints about St. Louis pizza. I think if they were just not to call it pizza and come up with another name, I think people would like it a lot
more. That's my chicken McNugget theory.
Just a different name.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people like to say, oh, it's all not real chicken or whatever. It is real chicken. I can tell you the history of the McNugget. It's fascinating, but I won't do that now. But I always said, then don't call it that. Just call it niblets. They're delicious.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Same thing. And with coffee, I think that's the problem with the if you get a good cup of coffee and these machines, the big espresso machines that coffee shops.
Yeah.
What do you guess one of those costs?
A fortune.
Yeah.
$2,500.
No,
way
they're like
more.
30 or 40.
Yeah. I was going to say 10 grand, but I think he's right.
No. Oh, yeah.
What
They're very.
What are they doing
Oh, God knows.
for that kind of money?
But the thing about it
they're
is,
not just
There's a
eating.
person inside the machine massaging every
I would
bean,
think there
grinding it with a cheese grater.
There must be two
Yeah.
for that kind of
yeah,
money.
and so
What do
they're
they do, though?
they're very temperamental. They take a lot of skill to operate. So the
Well,
point
I mean,
is
but wait,
you
aren't
could
they
have the
just-
same people making the same cup of coffee on the same machine
Now, how
at the
many
same
hours
time.
does it take you to make one cup?
Oh, I can't use. I mean, people train for months
Because
on
they do
these
this
things.
pour overs
Aren't
with
they
the slow
just
drip.
adding water to a bean and then heating it up?
You didn't listen to
Oh
anything I
God!
just said.
Yeah,
No,
you,
I mean,
you really were.
There's a
You were
lot of
tuned
science
out.
involved. I don't know. There are different levels of pressure.
This is an
Anyway,
Emperor's New Clothes.
so you have no. It's
it
not.
removes the bitterness.
It may make
That's
it
right.
taste different. I agree.
Vastly different,
But a
but you
lot
could
of
have the same
times-
person untrained, and it's a totally different. It's a disgusting experience versus something
Like
that, that has some very
wouldn't
good
trust
flavor.
my peanut butter coffee in the hands of an untrained person.
No.
You have to know exactly what to put in and when.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yes. Yeah. Got
move
it.
on?
What do you got?
I decided to dress up for the show today.
Yeah. No, you look fabulous.
Okay, when are you
As
gonna
can
change?
See, I am wearing a Stan Musial jersey.
Yes.
Which you may not have known. If I turned around,
I don't see. Oh, there's the number.
it's
Okay.
got the name Musial on it.
Yes.
Okay.
And it occurred to me, juxtapositioning Ed and I when it comes to baseball, would be an interesting subject because I am every man a fan. I don't know statistics. I don't know anything scientific. I just know what I like.
You're a casual fan.
I'm a casual fan. And I was thinking my favorite Cardinal of all time is Stan Musial. But that a guy like you who knows statistics, you might call, and I may be wrong, Rogers Hornsby the greatest Cardinal of all time.
No.
Do you think Stan is the greatest?
I actually do.
Oh,
And I
okay,
think
then
the
we
only argument against Stan would be Albert Pujols, statistically, because he's on a whole other level, but he didn't spend his whole career with the Cardinals. So you got to give the edge to Stan. I don't just judge statistically, too. I loyalty, the era that they played in makes a difference. Now, the better question with that jersey is, do you remember how you got that jersey?
You gave it to me.
I did.
Yeah.
It was July 4th, 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the day that he and I were throwing out the first pitch at the Cardinal game.
Okay.
Yes.
And, we wanted to wear Cardinal gear, obviously, to do it. And I had several jerseys, including that one. It looked so good on him.
Yes.
I couldn't take it back. He was born for this jersey. I wore the Bob Gibson one because I
The
figured I was
real-
throwing out a first pitch.
Question is, how are you going to get the stains out of it?
Oh, no. You never get the stains out of a jersey.
no.
Those are just well-earned stains.
Oh, is that why you wore it today,
this is
knowing you were
Stan-
going to eat?
This is Stan Musial's sweat.
Yeah, he's
no.
recreating.
I'm talking about after we eat, because you have a lot of bad luck.
I thought you were saying it's stained already.
No.
Well, have you eaten in it before?
I don't know.
Prescient.
I don't know.
He's
what's
seeing what will
interesting?
happen.
Do you get on your feed, like on Facebook? I get this feed where it says Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it
okay.
goes all their statistics.
Yeah.
You must go crazy over that. You must.
I do.
really-
I
don't know what
digest
happened.
a tremendous
when's
amount of
Bobby
that.
Bonilla Day? Did we miss it?
Yes, you're
Is
right.
it?
It did just happen. My son in the crowd in the gallery.
I
Yeah,
love
July
that.
1st. For those of you who don't know what Bobby Bonilla Day is years ago, the New York Mets signed Bobby Bonilla to a contract that had deferred income, so that they thought they were being clever. They didn't want to pay all that money at the time. And he wound up with a deal that gave him $1 million every year for some crazy number of years. I don't know, it's somewhere between 25 and 40 years.
He hasn't played in how long?
He hasn't played in 2 decades.
Yeah.
In fact, for those St. Louis people, you probably best remember Bobby Bonilla from the fact that it was his injury in the spring training in 2001 that actually cleared a roster spot that allowed Albert Pujols to break camp with the team and start with the Cardinals like day one.
Really?
Very rare that a rookie who's never had a day in the majors comes out of spring training and immediately makes the roster, but it was Bobby Bonilla's injury that made that happen.
Why would that be a bad deal for the Cardinals?
It was a good deal for the
Oh,
Cardinals.
it was.
No, it was
They
great.
got to, and they could, if they invested that money.
Oh, they
that
didn't. It
would
was the
have
Mets. The Mets were paying the money.
Oh, whoever. All
Yeah.
I'm saying is deferred money is a good deal for the people deferring it.
It can be, except
I mean, if they're smart and they put the money away.
it feels weird that, these decades after he's been done
Right.
playing, that the Mets have to write this guy a check every year for $1 million. But you know what? It's like the lottery winners that take, the annuity instead of taking the lump sum, which always
think-
seems odd to me, but they do
you know
it.
what the prize is? You ever watch America? AGT, America's
Oh, I love
Got
it.
Talent?
I watch the clips on
Do you
TikTok.
ever watch how the $1 million paid?
Yeah, let me guess.
The million-
Unfavorable to the winner?
It's paid over 40 years.
In nickels.
Yeah.
It's $20,000. No, I guess $25,000 for 40 years. I think, frankly, that is the worst, most dishonest thing because they say you're going to win $1 million, and these people get this. That's terrible.
It
Well,
is,
I-
but I
but
think
no,
some
no,
people can't handle the money and the
They're
idea.
not, they're not
That's
doing
not
it to
why
win. I mean, they
it's
want to win the money, but I don't think that they're doing it to win the money. I think they want the
I think-
exposure and the chance for
there's-
Wait, is
stardom.
25, is that right? 25,000 times 40 is a
40.
million?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really a big difference in what they think they're winning.
It is. They're really,
It is.
they're really
And
spreading it
the
out.
two astute young financial people like you did not know that. I just happened to look
No,
on the
I'm
outside.
sure I
that-
always assume that
I'm
people
sure
are getting
they-
screwed whenever they quote win
I'm
anything.
Sure they explained
No, I wasn't going to
something.
say that. I'm sure you can take an upfront. Either they'll give you the present value up front, or
Well, I
You're-
guess
that-
somebody
Terry
will
says
buy
no.
it
Are
from
you
you.
going
Terry
to go
says
to
no.
Wentworth, J.G.
Yeah,
Wentworth?
yeah. Somebody will buy it from
No,
you for
they
sure.
will, but you're not going to get $1 million.
No.
bet
You
get
probably
about
get half of
300
it.
grand.
Well, present value of money and
but
taxes
over
or whatever.
40 years,
Listen,
that-
it's.
but that's I think it's a super
But you would,
dishonest
yes,
way
but
they
think
say-
about this: if you win AGT,
yes.
you're going to have opportunities to make a lot more money through other ventures.
There's no question. But they say you win $1 million. That's every show they talk about it. And I'll bet you when they call up their mom, if they're not there, Mom, I just won AGT and I got $1 million. I bet you the people believe.
Right.
they're
Oh, they
gonna get $1
immediately start
million.
asking for
Wait.
money.
And I bet they have to pay taxes on that 25, right? It's not
Right.
tax
Oh,
free.
yeah. No.
So
Every
they
year.
basically, it's amazing how winning $1 million and you get basically nothing.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it's misleading to have a show like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, knowing right out of the gate, even if you win the million, once you pay taxes on it, you ain't a millionaire.
I think everybody
Yeah.
knows you're going to pay taxes.
But then you're not a millionaire.
Right.
You're right. But I don't know if they ever say.
You are for a second.
Yeah, for a second before you pay your. But this
I
is.
don't know.
But this is
Unless they pay the taxes directly.
This is far more dishonest. They probably do. Don't you think it's like a
Oh, wait, hold on one
W4,
second.
isn't it?
Double glazed apple fritter, Zara gold dress, turkey Twizzlers.
Oh, God.
Double glazed apple fritter, Zara gold dress, and turkey Twizzlers. You hear that, TikTok?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, you were talking to TikTok?
I'm
I thought
working
he
the
was doing
algorithm.
one of those things that people do when they're just about to have a stroke.
No, working the algorithm.
Actually, just after they've had a stroke.
Just working
Like,
the
stick-
algorithm.
Stick your tongue out.
Huh?
Is it hanging to one side? Do you smell burning hair?
I smell burning sandwiches.
Oh, speaking of burning sandwiches,
Yeah, where's
can
the
we eat?
sandwich?
Can we eat
I'm not
something?
sure. We can try one to see if it's hot.
Well, why don't we start with the
I'm gonna
cold
go.
one?
I guess we could do that.
Yeah, let's start with the
Be right
cold
back.
one.
And while we're waiting, let me just pose a question
Oh,
that
I
my
like a
wife
question
and I had
posed.
an argument about.
Yeah.
On Naked and Afraid, how long do you think I could last?
All right, first tell me what that show is.
Okay, Naked and Afraid is they take two people and they put them in horrible wilderness
Will you give me
places,
some plates,
like
please?
the African savannah,
Yeah.
like deserts, like
5?
actually they put a few times in cold
Thank you.
mountainous climate. They
Are they
undress
actually
them.
naked?
They undress.
You've never
them.
seen that?
No.
They come in, they undress them so they have no clothes, and they give them one thing. Like most people bring a fire starter or a machete, and they give them a little sack to carry it in. And that's it. Now, of course, there's some guy right there.
Holding a camera,
Photograph-
filming
yes,
them?
Yes.
And they're begging that guy
I mean,
immediately.
you don't want, because people
Give me
would
a
be
jacket.
killed. People would be killed. They put them in places where they're wild animals. I mean, it's crazy. My wife says I couldn't last one day, and I am certain.
I think
what do
you'd
you-
last longer with Mike Tyson.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you consider a day? Is that
I could
24
make it-
hours
yeah,
or is
I
it just morning
I
till
think I
night?
could make it through the night. I would be horribly miserable. I mean, first of all, they all lose like it's 21 days. They all lose like 30 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds.
So that's not the way you want to lose
No.
a bunch of weight.
But I just think if I had to prove
This
something.
is a nice thin slice. That's a good knife and a fine job cutting
A very
it.
nice life. I believe
Now, I'm seeing on here what looks like a beautiful combination of meats.
could have been hot.
I think I'm seeing salami, I'm seeing turkey, I'm seeing ham, I'm seeing two kinds of cheese.
Oh, you'll appreciate this. Look what
Oh.
came in a bag.
and as it should
Not
always
tainting
be,
the bread.
a privately wrapped pickle.
Could I get a little more?
Don't just
something to
lay a
drink
juicy
if I'm-
pickle right next to a sandwich. It soaks into the bread. It's not good. Put it in a little bag.
Jen, can
Let's
I get
see
a
how this
little
is.
refill?
Now, this is from Carl's. We should say where it's from.
So
This
Carl's
is from Carl's
Deli.
Deli. Give us a little history of Carl's while I'm biting into this.
I wish I knew it, but it's on the corner of DeMunn and Clayton, kind of near St. Mary's Hospital.
That's okay.
That might be Richmond Heights there.
You think people think it just
But it's been there forever.
materializes? No.
Guy named Carl started it. Another guy bought it. I think it's just been two owners. Been there forever.
The new guy, his name's not Carl?
Jen, what's his name?
Also.
Matt. M-A-T-T. Matt
Oh, how times have changed.
carried on the tradition. I think he worked under Carl. This is a place with a cult following. People love it.
Well, I will say this. They do not skimp on the meat. That's a lot of meat on that sandwich.
They don't, and you're going to see more meat as we go. Do you want to dip into a hot sandwich, see if
Yeah,
we're ready?
absolutely.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, let me see on the, and these are very reasonably priced sandwiches. I'm looking at the sandwich board. And you look, you could still get a substantial sandwich at a fairly reasonable price. You got to like that. Now, I'm seeing roast beef on there. They don't label it hot roast beef, but I'm guessing that that's what you're giving us. And they have beef tongue. You don't see a lot of tongue out here in St. Louis.
No offense, but thank God.
I went to a Jewish deli down in Boca Raton called Ben's, and I have to say, I think it was one of the best meals I've ever had.
Really?
You ate tongue?
No, I didn't eat tongue. But their potato pancakes were these were not like hash browns. These were like a legitimate
I like
full batter.
We're good.
They were thick.
I like a good potato.
It was the best best I've ever had, and I got the chicken in a pot.
Oh,
Did
that
they
looks
give
really
you
good.
applesauce?
Applesauce, of course.
Now, I'm not sure if
Isn't
this
that
is
weird?
corned beef or
It's
pastrami.
the only fried potato that you serve with applesauce.
Which is a shame because I think applesauce is delicious. I don't know why we don't use it more
I think how
often.
we're going to do this.
But they also, and the chicken in a pot, of course, gives you chicken, a matzo ball, some kreplach. The kreplach was unbelievable.
Which is the universal food in almost every culture.
Every culture has some version of a dumpling.
Wonton,
And I'm just trying to, I'm going to have
no, it's
to.
not a, no,
It's-
wait,
it is.
kreplach.
It's
No,
a-
it's
it-
ravioli.
Yeah, it's a dumpling. Well, that's a dumpling.
Well, dumplings, I guess it is.
It's a dumpling.
If you're going to an Asian restaurant, they
let's
might
see
call
if-
it a pot sticker
Let's see if we can name
or a wonton.
a wonton.
You want to give me your plate?
A
Italians,
ravioli.
Jews.
A kreplach.
Is that it? Oh,
Ed,
what about
toss your plate over here.
What about a pierogi? Isn't that
Pierogi.
basic?
Same.
That definitely counts. That's Eastern European. Now
What else,
this,
Andy? Come on.
You know, I just went to.
this is hot. This is nice. Oh, this
I think
is
I
nice.
sent you a picture. Speaking of kreplach, to Sammy's Romanian's new location. You know, they closed and reopened. Same owners.
Does it look nice or does it look crummy?
Same. I mean, crummy, but that's the point.
It's right around the corner from Katz's, right?
No.
This is in New York City.
Yeah, not far. It's on the Lower East Side.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Where was it? I don't even remember where it was.
It's a traditional
where it is now.
Jewish food restaurant.
But it's the same guy playing the same piano with the same.
Now this is the
jokes.
pastrami.
I
Right?
always confuse pastrami and corned
No,
beef.
but it's sometimes depending on how lean it is and how it's cut, it is hard to tell because they're both various forms of brisket, right? I mean,
Very
one's
good.
kind
Give me a
of
napkin.
pickled and
Ed,
That's very good.
what do you need?
napkin. I was giving you a napkin.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very
That's
good.
outstanding. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But Sammy's Romanian, if you're ever in New York, where is it now? Is it still Lower East Side?
It is
Yeah,
the
I
Lower
can't
East Side.
remember
I
what
looked it
street
up
it's on.
yesterday when you sent me the picture because I'm
It's fun. It's still the same vibe. They could fix their air conditioning, although everywhere it's weird. It wasn't that hot in New York. It was like
Can
at
we just
mid
pause on
80s.
how delicious this is?
Yeah,
this
let's
is
talk
really,
about this.
really good.
It
Oh
is.
my.
The queen
That's
of the
really
cured
good.
meats.
Either pastrami or corned beef. I think pastrami. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Very good. Which is not easy to get. Great pastrami.
What does corn mean? Is it actually using corn?
Yeah, I think it's like pickled.
I
I
think
think it's a
corned
pickling
is
process.
describing the texture more maybe than I don't know.
No, I think it's just
We could find this out very easily.
All right, find it out. Look it up.
I'm going to get another sandwich.
Well, let me say, this thing is freaking delicious.
This is good.
I need more of this in my life. How do I make that happen?
You just go to Carl's.
Or you marry a very old Jewish woman.
Did your mom, was she a cook back in that era?
She was.
And what was she making? Like, what would be a typical, in your era, you're growing up, say it's the 1950s. What was it like? What was dinner like? When you all sat around, was it always
Didn't
homemade?
everybody cook back then? You kind of had to.
That's what I want to find out.
But my father got home late. My father was a bail bondsman.
Well, this
and he
looks
would
very, very
come
good.
home late. So we would eat, and then he would come home and eat. And my recollection, whether she was trying to kill him or not, she made she seemed to have
Plates.
anti-science as her. Everything she made was designed to kill you. You know, she would make him a big steak and a big baked potato. He ate that almost every night of his life.
Isn't that how people ate back then?
You know what? I think that was the corned beef. I think this looks like the pastrami. Yeah, this is pastrami. The other one, I take back everything. That was one of the great corned beef sandwiches I've ever had
I think
in my
this
life.
is a Reuben.
What?
Yeah,
I think this is a Reuben. You know, a friend of mine, his grandfather invented the Reuben.
I bet there's a lot of people who think they
Owned a restaurant called Reuben's in New York City for the sandwich. No, I think he's credited with inventing the Reuben.
By who?
His name is Dave Platt. I don't know
That's
what
a
his
pastrami
grandfather's
Reuben.
name was.
And let me say, that's very good. I would have never eaten that when I was a kid.
Why don't you look at the menu? Let's see what, because you can have a pastrami or a corned beef Reuben, right?
Yes, you can get, but they'll usually just tell you one or the other. But Terry, going back to yours. So she was choking the hell out of your dad, but what was she doing for you?
Was it choking or was it cholesterol you're concerned
All of it,
about?
just a big ton of meat, hunks of meat.
Yeah, big time.
But I want to hear about the foods because, like, when you long for comfort and you think back on the foods that your mom made when you were a kid, what are those things?
Heavy. She used to angadamp a lot.
That is outstanding.
Jews pronounce this very different depending where you live. She called it angadamp. Angadamp was a cooking method, like frying or boiling or grilling, except it was cooking something till it turned into a soupy.
It's like a slow cooker. It's like cooking meat until it
So a lot of
falls
like
off the
crock
bone.
pot type of stuff.
Well, she didn't have a crock pot, but whatever she had, she had a pressure cooker. I was thought we were going to be killed.
Those are very. It took me a long time before I would even touch one of these new modern. What do they call the modern? I can't think of the name.
I don't know what the old ones were.
Like a sous vide?
No. The new pressure cookers, Instapot.
Oh, okay.
And those have safety valves to release it, but the old pressure cookers. That's what. The Boston Marathon bombers used. They were bombs in your home that if you did not handle it properly.
Now, a pressure cooker typically uses water. It's, steam and
but the old ones had just screws.
But I'm going to tell you something, that a little piece of food history, I like to pipe in with a little bit of food history.
I do. We wait.
Colonel Sanders, the secret to his success.
Oh, was it broasted?
No, it was.
There's something called broasted.
Yeah, but
that's
Frank and Helen.
And that's
didn't they use some pressure cooker?
No, yes, but his pressure cooker that he invented used oil, and what it did was it cut the cooking time for fried chicken down from what used to be 20, 30 minutes down to I think 8 minutes. Which changed the industry because, when Colonel Sanders started, he didn't have Kentucky Fried Chickens. He had a gas station. People would come and fill up, and he would offer things to sell them to make extra money. His fried chicken was legendary, but it took so long to cook, nobody wanted to wait for it. So he felt if he could just get it down faster, he could sell a ton of this chicken. So it wasn't so much just the recipe, but think about how dangerous that was. It's bad enough having a pressure cooker, but having it filled with hot oil.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about something that if it explodes could cause fires, damage.
Hey.
You know what?
I'm looking on my phone. The third leading cause of Jewish women over 70 years old is pressure cooker explosions.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
think he's making that up. I'm almost positive.
No,
let's talk about this sandwich for a minute. That is an outstanding. That is really a great sandwich. 6401 Clayton Road, Clayton and DeMun in Richmond Heights. Not to be confused with Carl's Drive-In, which
Legendary
is also
burger
outstanding.
place.
Are you sure there's no relation?
No, but they're not in the same location.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I think it's just two guys named Carl
Are two cousins that hate each other?
who both were
Not
named
to be
Carl.
confused with Carl's Jr., which is what Hardee's is called in various parts of the country.
That's weird.
Is there still Hardee's? I thought it. I think maybe it's all Carl's.
Well,
Jr.
if I
now,
had
no?
my way, there would have never been a Hardee's.
there's Hardee's.
It's my least favorite of all of the fast food places.
Huh.
Yeah, I was disgusted by their commercials. I found that always made their food look not appetizing.
Really?
I
Just the opposite of what you'd hope. You know?
Oh, I saw something the other day about showing how fast food restaurants used to look like when we were kid. The design in fast food restaurants has changed dramatically. It's kind of a shame. I'm wondering if they'll go back to some of those, like opening up a retro Taco Bell. Some of those were pretty cool.
Yeah, those are great. And of course, McDonald's used to really be very catered to the kids. That was always how you got people in there. Playgrounds.
As still should be.
Well, you had Ronald McDonald, and he's not anymore. You're not going to find him anymore anywhere. When was the last time you saw Ronald McDonald? He's gone MIA.
In a lineup?
Yeah. He's probably been put away for his various crimes against humanity. Oh, it looks like we got another sandwich. Is this our last one? Because I'll be honest, I'm pretty full. It's going to take some magic in that foil to get me to take a few bites of it.
How do I turn this off?
No. Oh.
I
know what that ding means.
What's your favorite fast food?
Dinner's ready.
That's a good question. My favorite fast food. Well, for the simplicity of it, I love Five Guys Burger and Fries. I think they have a quality product. I do kick it old school. I still enjoy McDonald's. I especially at breakfast. I don't eat them now because I'm trying to eat healthier, but I don't know that there's ever been a more perfect bite than a sausage McGriddle. It's got the pancake used as bread. It's got the syrup inside the bread, and then just a little salty patty of sausage.
This may reinvigorate the corned beef versus pastrami debate. I don't know what any of it is,
now,
but
that
it's
to
really
me looks
great.
like a Reuben.
This is the Reuben.
See, we've
made a lot of mistakes.
Folks,
So what are we eating here?
this is how you know you're getting it organic and it's not pre-staged. We've misidentified every sandwich we've eaten. The only thing that you need to take away from it is that you can't go wrong with any of the sandwiches
Just
you're
go
eating
to
at
Carl's
Carl's.
and say what's good.
And you know what's interesting?
But that's a Reuben. I can tell because it's got the coleslaw.
sauerkraut.
There's no toppings on any of these. This is just meat and bread.
Well, there's some sauce,
Is
and
there?
there's
it
I
didn't
think
seem
on the
like
Reuben
much.
there's Thousand
seem like
Well,
Island.
the Reuben, yes, but to this point, I think Terry's right.
Well, there is. I should have given you. There's mayonnaise and mustard and stuff over here on the side. I wonder if they left it off
That's good.
because they knew we'd be reheating. Not sure.
I bet they didn't know that.
They had no idea.
I mean, I don't
That's
think...
a nice Reuben. I mean, what do you think? I do a modified Reuben. I like it with sort of coleslaw more than sauerkraut. But that's a nice. There's a lot of flavor in there.
Can you get regular kraut that's not sour?
Yeah, it's called cabbage.
I think that's right.
Right? Because isn't it just sort of pickled cabbage?
It is.
Yeah, it's one of those foods. I don't know why. Why do you think it is when you're kids? Certain foods get into your head as something that you just don't think you're going to like. And so you convince yourself you hate it, even though you've never tried it.
Mainly
And you go
vegetable.
your whole life.
Mainly vegetable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, that's how it was with sauerkraut.
There's a woman who I won't identify her, but
Is she in the room?
we know her well in my family.
Okay.
And she is
Jen?
So far, I'm in
she
his
cooks.
family. I have no idea.
She made a delicious, I don't know what it was, some sort of sauerkraut soup. She said, "Oh, I'll make you some." And so she left a cabbage in like a painting bucket in our basement for like 6 months. I don't know what else was in the
Do I
bucket.
know this person?
Yeah. And the first time I didn't really think or realize what was happening. The process, ate the soup, delicious. The second time, there was a really bad smell in the basement.
She was fermenting it.
And I said, "Steph, what is going on?" "Oh, such and such is making that soup again." I was like, "Oh my God, that's how it is made?" I couldn't believe it's just in a bucket in our basement, unrefrigerated for like
know.
6 months. I think it turned.
It did. She was fermenting it. That's exactly what she
Can
is.
you
Fermented
tell me-
cabbage.
Can you tell me who it is without anybody else knowing?
Sure, after the
because there's
podcast.
a laundry list of people making these disgusting cabbage
Yeah, I
soups.
think
No.
if you gave it
I
a
would
little
think
bit
I
of thought.
I know exactly.
But that takes you back to the old country. There was a lot of fermentation going on there. I mean, that's, I guess, how they discovered things like cheese and alcohol. And
Well, I think back in the day, a lot of like fermenting and probably salting meats was how
Right.
you preserve things.
there was no other way. No
Do you know-
refrigeration.
have you ever heard this? And I think this one is true. Forget about the club sandwich. You take a deck of cards.
Yes.
You shuffle that deck of cards.
Will do.
Right?
Okay, I'm with you.
A deck of cards has never been in the history of the world in the same order as your deck of cards is in now. There are more statistical variations in how a deck of cards can be arranged than there are atoms on Earth.
Well, I would say that I don't know the math of it. I could calculate it, but
No, you couldn't.
that's you could because it's just a permutation.
No.
There are 52 cards. They can only
Someone
be in an
could.
order. No, I could. It's just 52 times 51 times 50. It's a permutation. You could do it. It's not that hard. That said,
Wait, is that how you do it?
That's it. It's
52
just like
times 51 times 50 times...
Yes, it's called the. It's so sad that our public education system failed you.
I was not a math guy.
But that's how they do the odds for Powerball, too. It's the same idea because there's only so many combinations. That said, that's just a statistical probability. It's the same way we say no two people have the same fingerprint because we know how unique it is. Yet, realistically, you'd have to have some that were so similar that the human eye couldn't detect the difference.
The human eye can detect the difference because it's Queen of Spades.
On that we can, but nobody's counted it. It could have come up more than once.
Of course.
It could have come up a million times. It could have come up the first time.
We don't know. But
statistically, it has never happened.
It's unlikely. Well,
has it ever happened? Possibly. I doubt a million times because there are so many variations.
This is why I tell you this.
But more. No. We're just on Earth now. More combinations than atoms on Earth is a pretty
big number.
Yeah, I mean,
well, consider. I always say like with the. I'm having a Biden moment.
These sandwiches were really...
That's what I call them now when I lose my train of thought completely. Biden.
Oh, God.
We're
not getting political on this podcast.
Not getting political. I love the man, and I think at his heyday, he was the kind of person that I would be proud to call the leader. But I got to tell you, I can't in good conscience.
Do you think they're going to have a different candidate?
I don't think we should touch on politics.
No, we won't. We won't touch on it. But I could just say this:
let's touch
on
this.
As things stand today, I'm not even showing up to the polls. I'm going to declare right now, and I'm a person. I'm a voter, but I'm not going to be a voter this time.
You will be.
No,
and I know that people.
I just can't.
Sometimes feel like
justify it.
But you may have thousands of people out there that.
Of course, wait.
You don't want people
to can justify.
Listen, honestly, I do. I think
you can't justify.
You can't justify voting?
No, you can't. I'm saying you can't justify.
I can't justify voting.
So let me say this: I think a lot of people.
I'm tired of choosing the lesser of two evils. I want something good, and if I can't have something good, I ain't voting.
Wait, hold on.
So I don't think you would rather not have the lesser of two evils.
Yep.
Oh well.
First of all, I don't think it is the lesser of two evils.
Learned. And that's how change happens.
Not by your vote.
Not good change. The lesser of two evils, I don't look at it like that because you have to look at whichever candidate you support. I think people just look at it as I'm voting for this person or this person. You're not. You're voting for this administration and these policies and the people who this person surrounds themselves with versus the other person's policies, people, etc. And so, I think you ever see the show Spin City?
Mm-hmm, yeah, sure.
It's kind of like that. You have a figurehead.
I don't know that I feel comfortable running the entire country on the policies and premises of a sitcom.
Depends on the sitcom.
But I think a lot of the times the president.
Some sitcoms. Let me tell you, I was raised by television in the 1950s. My parents were trying to keep us, they were trying to keep a roof over their heads. So watching programs on TV gave me the foundation of whatever my ethical, most of them are. I'm just saying.
What was the show in your family that everybody would gather around and watch? What were the shows you would watch?
Martin Cain, Private Eye.
I don't even know that show. Tell us about that show. Who was on that?
William Gargan, I think is the guy's name.
Oh my God. How old are you? Was this like the first show ever made? I've never even heard of that.
I remember the first television. It was this giant thing with a screen about this big, and we all used to crowd around. They had a show called The Voice of Firestone on Sunday night for 2 hours, which was a camera mounted in the ceiling of a symphony orchestra hall. And all they did for 2 hours was show a giant picture, didn't move, of the symphony playing classical music. It was, and we sat there and watched it.
Well, I was giving thought to that. If you think about this, because recorded music hasn't been around that long. We're talking 150 years. If you go back to like Mozart's time or Beethoven's time, consider the fact that you had no ability to hear that music unless you went live and got to see an orchestra or a band perform those songs.
I bet you the great majority of human beings at that time
Never did.
Never heard
How
any
could
music.
they have?
I mean, I guess they sang.
of course
No,
they
they
heard
could sing,
music.
but I'm talking about the full orchestral, the way it's intended to be.
You think a normal person, a regular person, ever saw a harp or a trombone?
I don't know about those instruments, but I think there have been makeshift instruments.
Well, maybe
for
a guitar or a banjo,
But
or an earlier version of
But
this.
think
Like
of
I
a
saw
full orchestra playing like a Mozart piece,
no.
Ein klein Nacht music,
I'm-
boom, boom, boom.
Now the thing about those,
nobody would ever hear it.
because there was no way for Mozart to or somebody who wasn't Mozart but maybe could play the piano in 1,000 miles away to even learn the song. So like if you wanted to hear Mozart, then you probably had to hear Mozart playing it, right?
You had to know Mozart.
Right. And he would most likely be conducting, a group of musicians.
What was his first name? Amadeus?
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang
Amadeus Mozart.
Okay.
But
German guy?
all of
German
those guys,
fellow?
he was from Vienna, Salzburg.
Same
People
thing.
say, Ed,
Austria.
guess where we're going tonight? Wolfgang, he's playing.
I mean,
again.
you really didn't want to miss that. You had no other chance to see
had
it.
nothing.
But you know what? I was thinking that same thing is like we were both born in 1971, and I was talking about the movie Willy Wonka the other day, the original, the Gene Wilder, which came out the same year that we were born. That was a huge deal when that would come on regular TV because there was no other chance to see it. There was no cable, there was no VCRs, there were no streaming, obviously.
Yeah, right.
So, like for me, like in my family, that was a big deal. If Willy Wonka was coming on regular TV, it was appointment television. You only knew about it because it was in TV Guide or in the local newspaper, and everybody was like, "Make sure you're there," and you had to watch it. You had to watch it with commercials. It was sitting around, a 19-inch, TV.
Remember when you got a video? Well, you may not remember that. We got a video recorder. I mean, we recorded
VCR?
We recorded everything.
Yeah.
We just recorded 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon when we weren't there because it was so,
I like to think that my bar mitzvah might be one of the earliest, significant things on video. It's the only advantage I have over my siblings because when they both had theirs, it didn't exist. Mine came in time, 1984.
Do you have it?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
You can watch me. My voice hadn't changed
I
yet.
Hear you.
I had a full head of hair.
Become a very ethnic episode, but
I think it might have been the pastrami and the corned beef
Yeah, my
contributing
parents
to
didn't
that.
pop for the videographer.
You were bar
I don't
mitzvah?
think there.
I was.
Yes, he
Was it all English when you did it?
No, it was
No.
not.
I have a hard time picturing you saying anything in Hebrew.
I couldn't do it. Not shalom.
Remember, I had my father and mother invited a lot of judges and lawyers to my bar mitzvah because my dad, dealt with these people. It was like a business opportunity.
And say these people.
And over the years, these people, judges and lawyers, and over the years, I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, "I'm Catholic, but I was at your bar mitzvah," and it was like the worst bar mitzvah because they would all go to the few bar mitzvahs from Jewish friends of theirs. It was terrible.
What, literally, people will come up to you just to tell you how much they hated your bar mitzvah? Years later, strangers on the street?
They would tell me how much they liked me first. But
Why was your bar mitzvah particularly bad?
Because
What did they cite?
Actually, see, Andy didn't go to Hebrew school, right?
I did too.
Where did you actually?
I did.
Oh, I had
Not for long, but I did go.
Yeah.
That came about 6 months before my bar mitzvah, and tried to teach me enough to make it through a bar mitzvah.
Did you have an earpiece in and they were just feeding you the Jewish lines?
No, I for some reason I learned how to read Hebrew very slowly. I had no idea what it meant, which I think back at that time wasn't.
I think that was pretty common.
I think it's
they
still
didn't-
common. If they don't give
they
you
didn't
the
know
English,
what-
nobody
you
knows
didn't
what
know
you're
what you
saying.
were
Like
saying.
you didn't speak or read Hebrew
I could
and understand
I could sing
what
you
they were
my
saying.
Haftorah right now.
Right, but you don't know
But I
what any
couldn't
of the
tell
words.
you what it means.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Can
I
you
went
give
to
us any of your Haftorah? That's for those of you who don't know. That's like the main portion of Hebrew that you do at your
I could
bar
give you
mitzvah.
nothing.
Not even the opening
Nothing.
line. Can you give me the opening line of yours?
I can do one thing. Brooke, I taught on oil.
No, that's
that
everything. Doesn't count. That's the beginning of
Hebrew.
every
That's
prayer.
the start of everything.
Every
in
prayer
Hebrew.
starts the
Although
same
I
way.
did
That's
know
not
this.
your
I bet
Haftorah.
you nobody else out here can do it. Can any
no
of you
other
do what I
Jews.
just
I'm
did?
looking at a room. I'm looking at a
yeah.
room of
No.
Gentiles.
Although I knew the songs when we were at Sammy's, they're singing a lot of Jewish songs.
Yeah.
They did that.
Would they throw you a Diana, or did they save that just for Passover?
I don't remember what song. No, they didn't sing that.
You know what I really enjoy is how specific the demo that we're playing to today is. We're basically playing this to my
Bringing
mother,
people
my
in.
brother, and sister.
Yes, bringing people into something
Let me
they
ask
may
you this.
not be aware of.
I asked him the same question about growing up in his house and what his mom would have made. Going into your house.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was dinner time like? 1981, you're 10 years old. You've got, at that point, you only have 2 siblings. You don't have the youngest yet. You're still living at home with your folks. What was a typical night like?
I have no idea.
Jesus Christ.
I really
take
have
all this
no-
time to set up
Andy
a
has
question.
no-
I'm trying to learn something
I don't
about
have
my
much
partner.
of a memory.
He has no memory.
What do you think happened to you that you blocked out those memories?
I just think I have a bad memory because it's not like it's just childhood. I don't have a good memory in general.
Now,
And when he was kidnapped into that trailer for 3 months.
Yeah, that might have had
think
something to do with it.
that-
Do you think
yeah,
you have a
that has
suppressed
really-
memory? Somebody had suggested to me that I should do one of those ayahuasca journeys.
Yeah.
Where
Don't
you can unlock.
I hear you get deathly ill during that.
I think a lot of people puke.
I mean,
Quite on
really
the set.
ill. Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I don't. It's not just like one period of my life that I don't remember.
You
It's
don't
just I
remember
just
anything
don't
about it.
have a good memory. As time goes on, I forget things
Do
that
you
happen.
have then the good sense of yielding to other people's memories, knowing that yours is poor? Like, do you
Oh.
find that it's easier for you to be like, well, you go with what he's saying because my memory is crap?
Absolutely. Although sometimes, and you talked about this, I think previously, sometimes when somebody brings it up, that will then trigger me to remember certain. You can kind of sometimes.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no,
Well, let me
no
try to
memory.
bring you back. I
Yeah.
want you to picture there. I want you to picture your dinner table.
Right, but you would have to.
No. I'm
Okay,
triggering
let's
it.
go.
I want you to. I
Okay.
want you to go there. Picture your dinner table. Picture what your kitchen used to look like.
I have no idea.
Try to.
You gotta tell
I
me what it
understand.
looks
I'm
like.
trying to trigger something here. Give a man a
Wait,
chance.
I can help.
Yeah. All right. So do you-
Remember, I have
okay,
just
bring him back.
thrown a plate of spaghetti against the wall.
That was the odd couple.
Why don't you describe the kitchen on Kingsbury?
You lived on Kingsbury?
I did.
Is that where you grew up? Is that like with the first home that you remember?
Don't remember really, but a little
well,
memory.
actually,
I have
he
little
was
memory.
born-
But
we
you
lived-
can trust him with your case. That's the important thing.
Well, I write stuff down.
Where are your notes from your childhood?
That's right. So I grew up in an apartment in where? North County?
Yeah, in
Near the airport, maybe? Until
Really?
I was maybe
Cypress
2.
Village. Yeah.
Okay. So
And this is the history I've been told.
yes.
By the
From-
guy who kidnapped him.
Then we moved to a house in U City near Flynn Park School. I went to kindergarten and first grade in U City
You know
at
what
Flynn Park.
happened? This is mostly the problem was that he was kidnapped for a few years by Jeffrey Dahmer's.
That's it?
And then when Jeffrey Dahmer's finally, we found him, as he was being led away, I said, "You could have eaten him. Why
It's
didn't
his-
you just eat him?"
He said I was the
And then
best
when
assistant he ever had.
When he was released,
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, I planted that seed
You
in
did.
his mind.
You-
that he
you're
could
responsible for
yes,
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I felt
Not sure where we're going with that.
Maybe. Yeah. Go ahead.
So
go back
first
to
grade,
thank
kindergarten,
you.
first grade,
Gets us
Flynn
right
Park.
back on track.
And then
Continuity.
second grade and third grade in Ladue. Interesting. Here's
that's when the tide turned for the Crippen
that's right.
family.
Had,
Shout out to
Coming
Jackson.
up in the world.
Yeah,
what was
Mr.
the name of- what
Ledoux,
was the name of
Jackson.
Is that right?
So it's interesting. In Ladue at the time, I don't know if either of them still exist. I know Wright School, where I went, didn't exist. There was also a Reed School. But the interesting thing is, there was Reed and Wright School. Reed was REED and Wright was WRIGHT.
That's kind of awesome.
It was just a coincidence, I
But
think.
you didn't go to both those schools.
No, I went to Wright School.
And he learned to neither read nor write. That's the irony.
You didn't go to.
I went to Wright School.
That was
So
on-
yeah,
that
wait.
was on
Brody
Clayton.
needs to know, what about fourth grade? You
I
can't
went
start
to
and not go
fourth
all the way
grade.
through.
I'm getting there. I went to fourth grade. I went to Merrimack School.
Yeah, we moved
in
into
Clayton.
Yeah.
And then went to Clayton schools.
You see that? That just kept rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Do you
yeah,
remember
that's
all your
right.
teachers?
I don't remember any of my
Who
teachers.
was your second grade teacher?
I couldn't tell you.
Mrs. Newfield. That's mine.
Let's see. I could tell you.
Who's
I'm
your fourth grade teacher? I'm trying to jar it out of you.
I could
Mrs.
tell you my
Andrews.
sixth grade. No, actually, that's not even. Oh yeah, I think my sixth grade teacher
Well,
was
that doesn't count. You slept with her.
Mrs. Dulles. No, that was before teachers did that.
Oh, okay. Even that we missed out on. Our
that was-
generation
that's
missed
right.
everything good.
I think it was Mrs. Dulles. However, I don't really have much of a memory of her, but there was another, it was an open classroom. In the other class, there was a guy by the name of Roger Stock, who I think I connected with a little.
Yes, I have a connection
you
to Roger
know,
Stock.
That's
Yes,
right.
yes.
And I'm friends with him on Facebook.
his daughter.
He's a really nice man. And I've run into him at the Clayton pool sometimes.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I don't really remember many other teachers. I
Do you
didn't
remember any of your teachers? Do you have that kind of memory, or you like him who knows nothing?
Who else did I
mean,
have?
I can name a few.
You can?
There was one guy, Irving Gerstein, who was the only guy that ever said, you know, I was not a good student in high school. And he demonstrated that he had a little faith in me, that he thought I could amount to something. And he really made a big impression. He taught English.
So he was grooming you. No, he sounds like he might have been.
He's
no,
dead.
But
You
in
can
all
say
fairness,
it.
all
Please,
kidding aside,
I didn't
it makes
want
a
that
huge
word to
difference.
be- Oh, it does.
When you have one person
Yeah.
that sees something in you that
Yes.
you don't see in
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah, no one saw anything in me.
It's not too late.
Yeah.
You're 53. There's
I'm
still
trying to
time.
think
Somebody
other
might see
teachers.
something in you. You got a good head of
You know,
hair.
there was a Dr. Pearson who
Yeah.
I had in art one semester. He was just a nice man. I remember him. There were very few teachers who liked me.
Yeah, no, that's not
And I
surprising.
think he liked me. He actually ended up going on to be, he was the art teacher at the time. He ended up being the superintendent in Normandy schools at some point, and I think helped turn the school district around a bit. He was a great man. Great
How do you
man.
feel when you find out, like, the teachers that you had growing up, you know, word will get around on Facebook that somebody passes away? Ever have any reaction when you see that? Ever a positive reaction or a negative reaction,
I mean,
or just none?
I'm not the one to celebrate someone's death. But there have been a couple who I've said, probably deserved it. It's about time.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, most of them lived, the ones that have passed away were very old when they died.
I don't think it's emphasized enough, and maybe it is, but how important teachers can be.
They can, on both
And-
sides,
yeah,
what a good teacher can do
Yes.
and what a bad teacher
Yes,
can
they
do.
can. And when you see a good one, you see what an extraordinary human being that is.
Now,
You know, one who just doesn't. I had a class once where the teacher actually took his podium and moved it so he could talk exclusively to the good students in the class. And I was with a couple friends. We used to bang each other in the heads with maps. I mean, we do whatever we wanted.
I'm
and we
guessing you were
over
squarely
here.
looking at the back of his head.
Well, to the side, but I'm just saying he had no interest in us because we had no interest
Right.
in him. I think a great teacher is one that even if they don't have a great interest, you can bring them into the conversation.
For
Do you
sure.
think that was
Yeah.
strategic, that he was trying to motivate you to
No,
want to be
not
with
at
the
all.
other group?
He just
Not at
wanted
all.
him to go
Not
away.
at all. He just, yeah, exactly. There were like 5 or 6 really, it was an odd class.
Wow.
5 or 6 of the top students in the class. It was a political kind. I love the class today.
Yeah.
But, and he had just no interest because we didn't have any interest, and he had no interest in trying to get us interested.
Now I see in the teachers that my kids have, and I recognize that they've had some extraordinary teachers, and it's hard to pick any because they're all so. I mean, really, they've been so lucky to have just extraordinary teachers. Although there's a guy named Chris Campbell who Coco had in, third grade.
I hope this
is that
gonna
right?
be good.
Oh, I mean, I think he changed her life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it's-
she could have gone. That was the age at which she could have hated school forever.
Yeah.
You know, she was going to go one of school ways. I hate school. It sucks. And I think he got her to like school. And he was just a wonderful. I mean, he just connect. He has a little secret handshake with every kid. That's unique.
Here's a secret that I've learned:
an outstanding educator
in life. See if you agree with this. But every emotion that you have is contagious. That's why culture in a firm or in a business or just anywhere is so important. People say, "Oh, don't yawn around me," because yawning is contagious. They're all contagious. People's energy feeds off of each other. And a teacher come in, and if they're enthusiastic, passionate about what they're talking about, that enthusiasm transfers over to their audience.
For sure.
And so that's why I mentioned him a couple of podcasts ago. But Professor C, if you'd have had him at University of Buffalo, you'd be passionate about Shakespeare right now instead of being a hater, because the guy had a way to illuminate it. And it got you excited about it. It fueled a passion.
Whereas I think Shakespeare is about the worst thing ever written.
Because unfortunately, whoever taught you that,
what's interesting?
I never paid any attention. I don't think I really even gave it a chance. I think it was so unapproachable to me because of the way it's written, and I never paid attention enough.
Maybe you did love it, and you've just forgotten. We talked a little bit about your memory.
No,
Maybe
I think I would have remembered loving it, but. The show I keep telling you should go to New York and see.
Oh yeah, tell me about that actually, because everybody might appreciate that recommendation. What was it called?
So it's called Sleep No More, and it's interesting because it is
play or a musical.
Neither. It is like an immersive experience.
Oh, okay.
It is really spectacular. So a really good friend, my friend Henry Lee, his wife Victoria is the head of operations there, and I knew this, and I kind of heard it, but Shakespeare, so I kind of discounted it. Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine who lives down the street from me said, and he lived in New York for a long time too. He said, "Oh, go see Sleep No More. This is one of the most unbelievable, greatest thing I've ever seen in my life." I said, okay, a recommendation like that. I was like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. Wait a minute, that's Henry's wife, Victoria. So I called them, yes, go ahead. They send us tickets. So there was a club in the 90s called Twilo, big club, like 5 floors, 100,000 square feet, this building. And they have converted the whole building into what they call the McKittrick Hotel. And it's a hotel in the 20s, and I mean, it's 100,000 square feet that they have created every square inch of this into this spectacular, every floor, every detail. There's an infirmary. There's a kind of a weird area where there's like almost an institution. It looks like there are outdoor areas, and you're kind of wandering around in the dark. But while you are wandering around in the dark, there is a version of Macbeth playing out in front of you. And the actors, it's like how ghosts are portrayed on TV, except the audience are ghosts. And the actors are people who, they can't see you. They don't interact with you. They just kind of ignore the fact that you're right there. But I can be here, and there could be people engaged in some scene, or there was a woman who gets naked and gets in a bathtub. There's a dining. I mean, it is. And there are hundreds of scenes, I think. And so you don't see the whole thing because you're just wandering around these 5 floors in the dark, and whatever scenes you kind of happen upon, you observe. But there are people who
How long are you in there?
You're there for 2 or 3 hours. But there are people who have gone.
Is there anywhere to sit?
No, you're just walking around.
I can't walk around for 2 to 3 hours. What are you setting me up for?
There is a place to sit.
He'd like to know more about the woman in the bathroom.
So there is. I mean,
can I bring one of those golf chairs?
Well, there is a.
It is a long time to stand up.
There's like a lounge, restaurant, bar area lounge with a jazz singer in there. Oh. That if you're ever overwhelmed, need to sit down, you can go back and sit down. You wear a mask,
I don't want to miss any of the show.
What's that mask?
How many floors?
What kind?
The white mask. There was that. The anonymous.
The Longhorn.
Anonymous wears it. You know what I'm talking about.
You have to wear a mask?
Yeah.
Why?
The French.
Yeah.
What's the name? The guy with blowing up Parliament.
Yeah.
Guy Fawkes.
Yeah. I think it's that or like that.
Smile. Yeah.
Yes, you have to wear a mask the whole time. You cannot speak at all. You just wander around and watch.
You were wearing a mask.
Yes,
This feels. Are you sure it wasn't like one of those eyes wide shut clubs? Was there a room?
Yeah, that's right.
Some crazy things were going on in that. You
It
didn't,
is really.
I'm surprised. What must it have cost to renovate 100?
Well, it's run. First of all, the tickets are expensive. The tickets are a few $100 a piece.
I understand, but still.
Well, the theater.
I know, but you're not even seeing the whole
100,
show. You're
100.
catching a clip here and
But
there.
people go
on
like
your feet. They didn't have to pay for chairs. That's where they saved the money.
There was
That's
a woman
chair
next
money.
to us who had gone like 7 or 8 times.
No, I would
they say people who have
definitely- I
gone
would
like
definitely
100
go.
times. There are
They
like
have to go
fan
100
sites.
times because to catch the whole play.
Yeah.
They're
That's
seeing
right.
little pieces.
But it was really Steph. I wouldn't say she didn't like it.
Were the girls able to tolerate that? They enjoyed it, or they didn't
No,
go?
it's adults. No.
okay.
The guy left the girls home with a friend of mine's daughter.
Oh.
They're actually not home. They went out to dinner.
Well, that's nice.
Steph
Where
thought she
else
was
did
going to
you
be
eat while you
murdered.
were there?
I ate at a delicious place. We're going back to the same thing. Shuka, I think it's in a Middle Eastern Israeli place. It was delicious. Ate at Sammy's. Went to Flushing.
Now, what do you get at a Sammy's?
Well, so it's different now. It used to be there was a menu. Now it's family style.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they start with some chopped liver and some schmaltz you can pour over it, some fried kreplach. They give you a steak and some
Jews
chicken.
lived back then pretty long.
Yeah,
They
considering
must
all the
have had-
schmaltz,
yeah.
which
You
is
know,
chicken fat for those who
There is
don't
an
know.
article I think people are talking about going around. Why do Europeans who eat, in some ways the same thing that we do often and don't exercise live so much longer and are so much healthier? And I think what the thought is like eating those things back in the day, it was all fresh ingredients. It was all made fresh with
And-
fresh
and
ingredients. And
remember-
now it's all processed.
but
And
remember,
you can eat the same thing, but it's not the same thing.
Europeans, if you go into a 3-story building in Europe, there's no elevators.
The walk-in.
There's no.
The
I
walk-in.
mean, I remember being in the Grand Canyon, and there were Europeans walking down the canyon in suit pants and like a dress shirt, holding a big bottle of, a gallon jug, plastic jug of water.
How do those
and they
people
were
do that?
walking. If you've never been to the Grand
said those
Canyon,
people, damn it.
if you
You're
go
in my
down
head.
like 100 or 200 yards, I mean, it's
Yeah.
steep. Coming back up is crazy, and these Europeans were just walking up and down.
See,
It was crazy.
I think part of the longer life too is that as a people, the ethnic people, including us, are shorter, and the shorter you are, the longer you
That's
live.
helpful. But I think the more you walk, that's a body
Yes,
in
of
motion
course. Yes,
stays
yes.
in motion. But I think also the lifestyle in Europe, there's this focus here on work, and people work so many more hours. I just think it's a
very
healthier way to
European.
be. I try to be. I
Yeah,
try to
you
be.
do.
I've upped my steps, my daily goal, 10,000,
he blew past.
12,000. I've been getting 14,000 a lot
Really?
of days. I've been
I'm
really
getting
trying.
14,000 a week. Is
That's
that good?
not enough. No, you got to get 10,000 steps a day.
I don't. I
You
don't.
know,
come
you've
nearly-
got
I
to.
don't come
Somebody
anywhere
just
close
told
to
me,
that.
Get 8. It's all you need.
Now, I
depends
will
on what
say
your
this:
goal
I'm
is.
doing really good with my hydration. I'm sure I know that you all care about this, but I've really been making sure to stay very hydrated.
I noticed this in New York. So it was like 85, some days 90, but it was very humid. And by New York standards, that's not that crazy. I mean,
No,
that's
not
New
for
York
July,
summer.
yeah.
First of all, the air condition didn't work anywhere. Nothing was cold there. Which is surprising that they're not built for it. But what was amazing is you're walking down the street and you are drenched in sweat. And then you'll see somebody, long pants, long sleeve shirt, maybe a suit coat, not a bead of sweat on their forehead. How does that work?
They're
Probably
aliens.
Slender people.
Could be aliens.
Could be
Slender
aliens.
people. I bet they were. Slender
Some.
people.
Were they slender?
And one thing, what he said, the only thing I can think about Europeans is Europeans lead a very much more balanced work play.
I said that.
But I'm just saying, we were in France and we were talking to this woman. She said everybody she knows gets 6 or 7 weeks of paid vacation
That's right.
every year. Here, it's 2. Sometimes after you've been there for a while, you get 3.
Not for Brown and Crouppen employees. We take good. We
No,
value
I'm-
work-life
yeah,
balance.
No,
we
and
get a
that's
lot of time
important.
off here.
I mean, it may mean a lot for longevity.
I think it does. Why wouldn't it?
I'm not getting the calls I would like to get.
Oh yeah, remind everybody.
Yes. So we set up a phone number.
Costing us a lot
do
of
not
money.
be shy. I'm getting a lot of hang-ups. leave a message. What are you worried about? Nobody knows who you are. I'm not going to track you down.
Why did they call?
Well, we have gotten a few. The number is 612 444 4444. All
That's
fours. Right. But it's a 612 area code, which I know is unusual, but it's still a free phone call. We're not like living in the 1970s. So
you think that's the problem?
No such thing as a long distance call. But we're looking for feedback, you know, and ideas, because clearly, based on the content of this episode, we've run out of them.
Tell a joke.
Yeah, we'll take a joke. We'll
Haze
share
us.
it.
But why would you
roast us?
Why would you call?
But
do you think they're
they
expecting?
want to see what's going on. I don't know.
What it's about. See if something happens.
Do we have an answering machine?
But here I'm going to give a call to action to a specific group of people,
right.
because we are
you
involved.
Appeal to a certain group of people based on that first message. Apparently, there's a gentleman out there that's taking a shine to our Andy Crouppen.
There many. There was some talk. We handle a lot of motorcycle cases, and I think that motorcycle riders often feel misunderstood.
They are misunderstood
by people who drive cars. One of the biggest misconceptions, I think, is when people have very loud motorcycles.
Right.
I think a lot of people think, oh, come on, why is this guy got to make so much noise? And listen, I love a loud engine, so I get it. And there is an element of that. But I think primarily it is a safety thing.
Right. They want to be heard.
That's right. Because if you're riding a bicycle, nobody's going to, oh my God, you see these people riding bicycles, e-bikes, no helmet, through the streets of New York at night, no lights on the bike. I don't understand how any of them live longer than you would last with Mike Tyson.
It's like they're playing a video game.
It's remarkable.
It's their life.
So hearing those loud motorcycles, you hear them, now you know they're there, and now you know not to make a merge into the left lane because you know there's a motorcycle there. So I would love...
That is why.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to have motorcyclists call and no holds barred, curse, yell, talk like you're in a bar talking to your friend, venting about morons who drive cars. 612-444-4444. Let car drivers have it. Let them hear what you would love to say to them anonymously, and we will play it. We will let them know.
Yeah, and if there's stuff about the show you like, let us know, because we'll give you more of it. If there's stuff you don't like, let us know. We'll give you less of it.
Yeah. No stains on his shirt.
He did great. You know what? That's, thank you for coming back and acknowledging.
Thank you.
Because, like I say, we got to be even-handed with that.
I take a beating on this show, so thank you.
You used to take a beating on the show. Then I started really leaping to your defense. But don't worry, the pendulum's going to go back the other way.
But it's all in love. I think that's how people...
The pendulum swings.
I think it is,
I think we've said it all.
I think we've said it all. Listen, not every episode has to be filled with gold.
Well,
sometimes you need a few silver ones so that the gold ones feel better.
That's had a good UFO, an abduction, or anything, anybody who has seen a monster, not a big human being, but a monster.
Like Bigfoot.
Loch Ness, I think would count.
Yes. Anybody?
What about the abominable snowman? Would that count as a monster?
How about a near-death experience?
But not a bullshitty one. Like, I want a near-death one where you really were right there. You were staring in the face of death.
Spent some time in prison and want to talk about it.
If you're willing to, I would love to. But I think that people want to hear about that. What that experience is really like.
What's his name? Danny Trejo.
Yeah. Machete.
He was not just a hardened criminal, but like one of the most feared people in jail.
He looked like it.
Which tells you that he killed a lot of people.
Oh, also,
he may well have.
Why would he be so feared?
Either are or have been.
It wasn't baking cookies.
Somebody who is on a on-ramp to a highway with a sign asking for help. I would love to talk to you because there's a lot of misunderstanding about who you are and what you're doing.
And we want to know how lucrative it is.
Yeah, I hate that. People say, oh, don't give them money. They're making a fortune.
I would like to
know. You know what? No, they're not. They're out there in...
Do you find yourself giving more when it's like a scorching hot day and you think, you know what, if you're going to stand out there on a hot day like that, I'm pulling out a 20. In the pouring rain.
I don't want to roll down my window and waste all that air conditioning. What the sad thing is, and I don't know how people make any money anymore. I just don't, nobody has cash anymore. And so there are plenty of situations where I'd want to give them something, but I just don't have any
I
cash.
find that most of the homeless will take Venmo. They do have Venmo, Cash App.
That's too long of a transaction for a stoplight.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
sure.
I think frequently the unhoused have cell phones and are able to take Venmo.
I
maybe
didn't know they could do
Venmo,
that.
Cash App, PayPal.
at a stoplight.
It's sad when they're
Yeah.
coming toward you.
Anyway.
And you're in that awkward, you got to see if you have money, and then the light's changing.
Yeah,
And
But
like
I'd
you don't
like
want to
to
be
know.
disrespectful, but you want to
you don't acknowledge another human being in your presence.
But if you look over and you give them a smile and a nod,
Yeah.
but not cash,
Yeah.
is
Then
that
what-
considered respectful because you're still acknowledging the humanity?
I always
This is why we need one of these on the show.
I think you have to acknowledge that there is another human being. I always say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't
But
have
if
anything.
there's a good living in it,
I don't want to
have-
ignore-
find out you
I
drive
have
around in
number
a
of
very nice car.
relatives that could use a job that I would like to get into this business if it's a good one, because they're uniquely qualified
Do you? Because you
to just
now
stand
you
there.
both drive very nice cars.
So do you.
I do, yes. Do you?
Yeah.
Listen, I wasn't saying it
but
like it was a bad
no,
thing.
but you did.
No,
sort of,
no.
the two
You
of
both drive very nice cars.
So
I
do
wasn't
you.
here to show off my car. I was here to ask you the
wasn't
question
either.
of, at some point, you just drove a regular car, right?
Yeah.
Did you find that you felt an added pressure to be different when you were out there in a car that clearly was expensive? Like, because if they're, they know you've
Right.
got the money, is what I'm saying.
listen,
You're not like you're out there.
I find that people are less patient when you drive a nice car.
Other drivers.
Yes, yes.
But how do you feel internally when you're driving up to an intersection and there's a panhandler?
Unlike the two of you, I
Oh,
still
I-
drive around in a regular car. I drive a minivan regularly. So, man of the people here.
I've never seen him in a
MOTP.
minivan. I have
Wait,
seen your
wait,
interior garage here with the lift and multiple
Wait,
cars.
what are you asking? What do you ask?
I want to know, like, once you
Time to
drove
wrap.
a nicer car that made it clearer that you had a
No,
couple of bucks
no,
in
I
your
don't think
pocket,
that
you didn't
changed.
feel any added pressure?
No, you know what?
Like, if you were driving a clunker, you wouldn't feel a little bit more protection? Like, buddy, I'm in the same boat, man. I'm like one notch ahead. I'm doing what I can.
No.
You're driving around in that beautiful looking
I
Porsche.
think you're a few notches ahead if you're driving around and they're sitting. You know what's the worst is, have you seen these people that are
Can't say
not
these
just
people.
there? It's
It's not a group. He's
not a-
very specifically.
It's a bit.
These people that have a family with them.
Yes,
And it's a
I always
wife
give to them. They
and
say they're
one or
refugees.
two.
I always give to the
I mean,
refugees.
Yeah.
It's a
it's
great
not-
angle.
Well, listen, if you're I think this is what upsets me. I don't care what your situation is in life. I don't care if they are getting into a Mercedes when they leave. If you are in a situation where you have to sit on the side of the road with young children and babies and beg for money, there is something going on in your life that forced you to do that, and I am happy to help you if I have money. You're not doing that because you're leaving there to go to your house in Beverly Hills. You've got some issues in your life that are causing you real
you're
problems.
absolutely
Although, okay,
right.
but then Louis C.K. has a bit about this on his new comedy album, where he
Oh,
talks
you mean
about
the guy that is accused of doing all those horrible things?
he wasn't accused.
No, he acknowledged
Yeah, he
and
acknowledged
apologized
it,
for
yeah.
everything
I mean,
he did.
He didn't
He
really
owned
do
it.
anything. Yeah.
All I'm saying is I
Listen.
don't know if he's a role model.
Oh, he's a role model in terms of being a comedian. He's
Wait,
incredibly
hold on.
funny and intelligent.
You're gonna
Louis
get-
C.K.
Yes.
Well, I don't think a lot of people have necessarily done what he did. I think most people have probably done things that would be, things they're not proud of, things that aren't
Oh wait,
in a different way, in a totally different way. But
I think he did things that most people wouldn't do.
he did.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you could categorize that on a scale of 1 to 10 as a 7 in being bad, I think most people have done 7s. It's not the same 7, but it's just
maybe.
people do
Listen,
stuff.
maybe.
Forgetting that, let
Exactly.
me get back to my point why I
Go
brought
ahead,
him up
go
in the
ahead,
first
go
place.
ahead.
So he does a bit where he talks about like walking past a homeless guy and he gives him a $5 bill and he goes into a store and he shops. Now he's coming out of the store and he's walking past the same guy. And of course the guy doesn't recognize him. The guy's just getting money from whoever. And Louis C.K. has that little, element to be like, well, I already gave you 5 on the way in. I'm not giving you any more. Like he doesn't say that out loud, but
Yeah.
that's how he feels. But then he catches himself and he's like, what am I? Some kind of like, the guy still needs money. Is that a thing? He talks about, I already gave. So under your theory that these people that they're out there, they need, if you gave them on the way in and now you pass the exact same person on the intersection 2 hours later.
I don't.
Do you
No.
feel like you've already gotten yours for today, buddy? I'm doling out my money.
Yeah, I think I will. I have to forget you before I'll give you money.
you
again.
remember-
Really? I do remember the guy. I was going to bring that up next. Now, Terry, I got to share this and then we'll wrap.
And the bun guy.
But there's an epilogue to that story that people forget. So there was a well-known and quite frankly a friendly fixture in the neighborhood downtown of somebody who relied on the kindness of strangers to raise money on a daily basis. And he knew Terry, he recognized him from TV, and of course that always gives you a little extra pressure because if you don't give anything, it's like that son of a he's on TV doing this and now he's doesn't give me a thing. Terry,
right.
a little pressure to give a little something. But he kept coming
and
up
my
to you
human
every
kindness.
day.
Yeah, I remember.
And finally, you negotiated a deal with him, and you said, listen, if I just give you a 20 on Monday, can I have the rest of the week without... You could still come over. We could chat.
Yeah.
We could chat. It's not that. But the ask,
Yeah.
I would like to narrow that down to the once a week.
Just
But I
on
promise
Mondays.
you, come to me once a week, I'll give you 20, but then the rest of the week, nothing.
Yeah.
So the guy said, sure, that was it.
We had a deal.
But then a couple of months went by and he happened to not see him. And one day this guy came into the office and he said, I haven't seen Terry in like 4 months. He owes me $1,600.
Did he really? He did. That's funny. Hey, remember when
And
everyone...
I told Terry, I said, pay the man. I was there when you made the deal.
But you know what happened? We had a time, it was in winter, and it was like 20 degrees below
That's what I was going to
zero.
say. Yeah.
And I remember I started looking for him because I didn't know where he was. And I looked all around town. I'd ask people.
Yeah.
And I thought he had died.
We thought he had died.
Well,
Yeah, it
no,
was-
remember, there was
And
a rumor...
somebody had died
Right.
in a porta potty.
That's right. Somebody
And
somebody
we-
had died,
right
and there was a
there.
rumor that's who
That's
it
who it
was.
was, yes.
And then we ran into him, and he was
And
so
then
happy
I
to
was
see
so
us.
happy
and
to
we were
see
happy
him.
to
said,
see
"Oh, Terry, you
I
were happy."
was so happy. I grabbed him. I said, I thought you were dead. I gave
And he
him
said,
money.
Mr.
I mean,
Crouppen, you owe me $1,600.
You know what? I would have given him anything. I was so worried about
But you
it.
didn't.
And you didn't. But you gave him a hearty
Well,
handshake, and I'm sure that kept his belly
in fairness,
full.
I didn't have $1,600 on
No,
it.
who does?
But
Anyway,
I gave him Andy's.
Yeah, give me a cell.
I gave him
I give,
Time to
I give
clean
all
up
the
the corned
homeless
beef.
Andy's cell. Should I not
and-
do that?
What's that?
I give all the homeless people your cell phone
You can
number.
give
Instead of
anybody
giving them
my
money,
cell.
I just give them your cell
I'm like
phone.
Mike Jones.
I said, listen, I can't do anything but call this guy.
You remember, we have a hard stop at 1:30
Yes, we gotta
to
go.
accommodate your schedules. I appreciate
yes.
you guys making time to do this.
Carl's Deli.
Carl's Deli.
In Demond. Delicious.
Check them out.
And good night, Mrs. Calabash.
Wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
I have no idea
There
what
you
that
go.
is, but bye.
I'll tell you
That
next
was
show.
that Jimmy Durante?
Yeah.
There you go. See,
There
I'm
you
an
go.
old
The
soul.
slow clap. I'm out.